Welcome, everyone, to another edition of CPG Insiders. I'm your host, Dr. Mark Young, with co-host Justin Gerard. We're going to do something a little different today. And today, Justin is going to take the reins, and Justin is going to be the interviewer, and I'm going to be the interviewee. And why are we doing that? Because today is the day we're going to talk about my new book that I believe is coming out now. Yes, the 27 Unbreakable Rules.
There you go. It's here,
Building
folks.
a $100 million plus brick and mortar CPG brand. Now, before you start, let me tell you about a phone call I just had. I just did a meeting with a new client. We sent them draft copies of it in advance. It's a partnership, two guys. They said they both read this thing and said it was incredibly helpful. It is their Bible.
Awesome.
This is our manual.
That's fantastic.
This is our manual to get our product into brick and mortar retail.
That's what it was meant to be.
And we're hearing that from everybody we've given it to.
Yes. So far, everybody who has gotten it, the reviews are incredible. They really are.
So Justin, the book is now available on Amazon as of today, right?
Yes. It's available today.
What's the deal?
So you can get the Kindle version for 99 cents, and you should be able to get the audiobook when this recording is released for also 99 cents. That should be available by then.
That's a good deal.
Great
deal. Because the book's normally what, $16.95? Isn't that what Amazon has it priced at?
Yeah, but we're doing a promotion for the launch because we really just want to get this book out there.
So this is only what, for the first 2 weeks?
First 2 weeks. First 2 weeks, you'll be able to get this pricing.
Okay. And the foreword is written by Dr. Benjamin Hardy, who is the author of his newest book, which is The Science of Scaling, which I also highly recommend. If you haven't read it and you do buy my book, which I'd be very grateful for if you did, and leave us a review, I would highly recommend you buy Dr. Hardy's book because you're going to love Dr. Hardy's book.
It's an amazing book. Really is. So now, since Mark, this is my show today, you have to answer whatever question that I ask. And
all right,
there is no teleprompter, so Ron Burgundy, don't get confused over there. You're going to have to just roll with it.
Just going to wing it. I did put my favorite hair gel on, though, just for this.
Favorite hair gel? You guys don't show your age. All right, so let's hop right in. All right, so here's my first question. First question is, we've talked about this on the show before, but you open the book really talking about, frankly, how brutal the odds are in our industry. Right? You open it up talking about how 30,000 products are launched every year and 95% of them fail.
I know it's brutal. Statistically, you got a better chance of going to Vegas and throwing all your life savings on number 17 in a roulette table.
It's insane. It is insane. Why do you think most CPG entrepreneurs and founders, why do you think that they underestimate how hard it really is?
There's a couple reasons behind that. I think most successful entrepreneurs will tell you once they become successful that they never knew it was going to take as long as it did and be as hard as it was. Because when we look at, and again, let's talk about real entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
People with the D2, D4 gene, the Comet gene. These are bold people. These are exciting people. These are the people who go into the burning building. These are people that are willing to take risks. As a rule, those people tend to be optimists. And as you know, I'm a very optimistic person.
Yes.
And as you know, right or wrong, I don't believe I have any limitations on me.
Yes, that is correct. That's correct.
Sometimes to my detriment, but I do not believe there are any limitations on me.
Nope.
So therefore, when you live in a limitless world where your future is bigger than your past, and you believe in the product and you believe in yourself, you believe the rest of the world is going to have the same excitement and the same passion for this item that you do, and that this will happen a lot faster than you think it will happen.
Interesting. So is it simply about the fact that I love it so much and I just know this is going to work and it's just that simple?
Entrepreneurs all have a secret, and their secret is I know how to do something or I know how to make something better than everyone else. I have a vitamin that's better than everyone else's.
Sure.
I have a toenail fungus solution that's better than everyone else's. Whatever it is, I've invented something or I've created something that I know is better than everybody else's. So why would the world not beat a pathway to my proverbial doorstep, as the build a better mousetrap slogan goes? because I love this. So obviously everyone else will love this. And I'm just passionate about it. You know this.
Sure.
When you talk
Yeah.
to a real hardcore entrepreneur, these people will practically stand on the roof of their building and scream out about their product.
As you said in the past, it's really hard to call their babies ugly. I can
Yep.
tell you that. It's very difficult.
Which becomes the danger, because that over-optimism sometimes drives us into not being realistic. And that's one of the reasons so many products fail.
Well, and so you've actually kind of skipped to one of my other questions, but I think this is working well in the sequence. So let's just keep rolling with it. So let's kick right back into rule one. I think you just talked about it here, right? Rule one, don't make products you don't believe in. That belief has to be more than emotional, right? It has to be strategic in nature. It can't just be an emotional passion and love for it to really matter. Am I correct?
Yeah. And where I'm going with that, Justin, is simply this. One, you need to believe in the product, because it is not when will things get or will things get tough. It is when will things get tough.
Mm-hmm.
Two, the marketplace and the buyers can sniff out a phony. You come in and pitch me on a product and you're not passionate about it and you don't believe it, you're reading a script.
Yeah.
So, and chances are you're going to need to bet the farm on this thing working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm going to give you, if you don't mind, I'll give you a sample that's in the book.
Yeah.
In the book, I talk about decades ago launching a fishing lure that I launched with Chuck Woolery. And my dear brother Chuck was a passionate fisherman, and he would continue to, I'd be fishing with him and he would keep casting until it was dark. And the funny thing is, Chuck would tell a story about when he would fish with his dad, and he would be telling his dad, "Can we go home now?" And his dad would always say, "Just one more, Charlie." And then he turned into his dad. So Chuck called me up one day and he goes, "I just met a guy at a fishing show with a fishing lure, and this guy's frustrated. He's been trying to sell this thing for 10 years. So this lure was on the market 10 years plus before Chuck and I got to it. He's been on the market for 10 plus years. He gave me a whole handful of them because he said, I'm done. He was from Texas. I'm done. I'm tired. I'm not going to do this thing anymore. Here, you can have a whole bag of them free." Well, it became Chuck's favorite fishing lure. And Chuck is at this show and he's telling the guy, "No, you can't go out of business. This is my favorite fishing lure." So again, Chuck being Chuck, "I'm a TV star. You need to stay in business because I want a fishing lure." And Chuck says to the guy, his name's Frank Pierce, and he says to Frank Pierce, who was a lawyer, by the way, and he says to Frank, "What about if I get my partner and I to come and buy the company from you, or we become your partners?" "Well, if you could do that, I'd consider staying in business or selling a piece of it or whatever the case is." So Chuck calls me up. "We got to buy a fishing lure company." And my answer to my dear brother was, "Chuck, I'd rather watch grass grow than sell a fishing lure." And "No, you've got to believe me. Let me send these to you. And once you get them, you'll understand." All right, Chuck. Out of my mind. Several days later, I get a package in the mail from Chuck. It's these fishing lures in an ugly package, kind of with a broken box. And I'm like, what the hell? And I open this up and it looks like a little minnow. And out of the minnow's mouth comes a little string. And when you hook the string to your fishing line, the process of casting the lure pulls the string out like an old kid's pull toy. The bait, it's called a top water lure. The bait hits the top water, it floats on top, and the tail goes up and down and flutters up and down like an injured minnow, which bass will strike an injured minnow. And it's very well done. It looks like a minnow. And I'm like, oh my God, I hate to say this, but he's right. Because what did we know about products? We knew from our business, we know they have to have a broad appeal. They have to serve a purpose. They have to solve a problem. And the best products are demonstrable.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh my goodness, when a fisherman sees this tail wagging through the water, they're going to buy it. So we went and we made a deal to buy the company. And then we went down to a place in Ocala, Florida. There's a guy in Ocala, Florida, who has a studio for specifically shooting underwater fish scenes. So it's a massive aquarium. Think like a Weeki-Wachi aquarium.
Yeah.
And he has it filled with fish. And then he has 120 frame per second high-speed film cameras. So he shoots this at 120 frames so we can slow it down to 24 frames because actually the fish hitting the lure is faster than your eyes can take in. That's how fast the fish is. So we put this lure in the water, and this guy's bass just destroyed this thing, just kept going for it over and over. So we captured all this footage of this little minnow and this big bass on the floor of this tank,
Yeah.
boom, going out and just striking this thing. So we took that product and I went to QVC. Now, QVC was known for only selling women's products, but I believed in it, and I believed in Chuck Woolery and his ability to connect with women.
Uh-huh.
And I told QVC, my partner is Chuck Woolery. You put Chuck Woolery on TV and women will buy this for their husband. And they're literally telling me products for men do not survive on QVC. This is a 57-year-old woman with 2 adult children who's shopping for herself.
Mm-hmm.
That's QVC.
Yep.
I'm like, give me a shot. And QVC said yes. They said yes for 2 reasons. One, Chuck Woolery was a big celebrity at the time, and they really loved that. But my energy and my belief in this thing was infectious. Guys, I'm telling you, you put me on the air, I'm going to sell these things. They did, which, by the way, they gave us election day night at 7 p.m.
Right. Worst time slot ever.
in November when everybody's tuned into the election results. And we got an 8-minute airing, and we sold out the entire inventory and went on wait list in 8 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And we proceeded to sell over 1 million of these lures just on QVC, along with millions of other products, all branded under the Chuck Woolery brand, because we expanded the family of products once we had a hero.
Yep.
Once we had a hero, once we had a moneymaker, once that QVC audience knew that Chuck Woolery was the guy to trust for great gifts for your husband, now we could leverage the brand. So where I'm going with this is, if you don't believe in the product, you're not going to fight for it. You're just going to say, yes, I have this new product. It does this, this, and this, and blah, 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 blah. And the buyer's reflex is always to say no. And if you think about it, think about my buddy Chris Voss. And Chris Voss wrote the best-selling book, Never Split the Difference. And what does Chris say in that book? The art of negotiation doesn't happen until someone says no. So until someone says no, you're just talking. Now they said no. Now it's time to negotiate. If you don't believe in the product, you're going to get the no and say, yeah, I knew this thing wasn't that good. And you're going to get up and walk away.
Yeah.
You need to be willing to fight for it. And you need to be willing to take big risks for it. So where I'm going with this is, at the time we did this, Chuck was in a really bad divorce and couldn't spend any money. I didn't have a lot of money, so I had to take a mortgage out and pull all the equity out of our house and borrow all the money out of our 401k and wired it all to China to a bunch of people in Shenzhen, China I'd never met in person, and hope they made the product correctly and shipped it to me on time.
Well, and that's an interesting transition into thinking about, and there's a lot of this in the book, but especially when we're talking about, because a lot of the focus is on retail for the book. How should our listeners, entrepreneurs, founders, how should they be thinking about risk, especially in those early stages of retail?
So people think of me as a big risk taker. Investments, my own companies, my own businesses, real estate. I ride motorcycles, I race cars. But in reality, Justin, I am a calculated mitigating risk taker. So when I plot out the risks, so I'll give you an example. When I ride motorcycles, you'll never see me on a motorcycle without a helmet on. Why? Most people in Michigan ride without a helmet. Why? Statistically, I know that 85% of the people who die on a motorcycle died without a helmet on. That's too easy of a mitigation to be passed up for me. We know that 80% of people who crash and die on a motorcycle consumed alcohol. That's too easy of a problem to mitigate for me. Wearing leather, wearing boots. These are easy things to mitigate. You know, when I race cars, I have every piece of safety equipment that exists in my cars, right down to automated fire suppression. So in my car, if I get knocked out, the fire suppression comes on by itself if the car is on fire. So I'm for taking risks, and I'm for taking big risks because there is a direct correlation between risk and reward. You cannot get reward without risk. The bigger the risk, the bigger the outcome. Now, how do you mitigate those losses? Well, you mitigate those losses by, do I believe in this product? Does this product solve problems for humans that humans identify? Does this problem solve a product that there is an identifiable consumer base that is large enough to turn this into a business? Does this product have a broad enough appeal that it can survive in a Walmart, in a Target, in a Costco? Do I have a profit margin that will allow me to sell this product and pay all the expenses I need to pay and still be profitable. If I can jump all those hurdles, if I can get past that, and do I have a product that has a definable point of difference to its competitors? And preferably, do I have some IP around my product? If I can overcome all that stuff, I've mitigated the majority of the risk. So when I look at 30,000 new products come on the market and 5% of them survive, go take a look at those 30,000. Just go look at 100 of those 30,000 that failed, and you'll look at them and say, well, these were stupid.
Yeah.
Why did anybody do this? They invented a product that solves a problem for 50 people. Now, if those 50 people are billionaires and your product sells for $20 million, that might be fine. But if you're selling But if you're selling a $30 item and only 100 people need it, this is a stupid idea. So how can I get the risk down?
Interesting.
I can't eliminate it. I can't wipe it out.
There's no way to, because as you said, there's no reward if you try to eliminate all of the risk. That's just not possible.
Yeah. And the bottom line is simply this. You can go to every friend and family member you have and show them your new product and say, what do you think of this? Like, oh, wow, that's really great. That's really cool. That is totally different than walking up to a stranger and saying, will you give me money? These are people you know. These are people who are friends and family. These are people who have a vested interest in a relationship with you. These are people who don't want to hurt your feelings. These are people that are proud of you, that you're trying something new. You need to walk up to a total stranger and say, let me show you this, and will you give me $20 right now? No one knows that outcome until you do that. And no one knows that outcome until you do that in a scientifically valid, sufficient volume of people, because finding one person that'll buy it is not the key. Can you go show this to 1 million people and 400 of them said, yes, here's a credit card? That's the game. And nobody knows it until you do it.
Until you do it. Continuing with retails, Rule 5, right? So Rule 5 in the book outlines the three pathways into retail, right? So we've got category expander, you got to trade up, you've got new money. You can go into that in a little bit here. But my question is, if an entrepreneur, if a founder is looking at their product and they can't clearly identify their product or brand lines up with one of those three levers, what does that signal to them?
Increased risk. Now the risk model just went up significantly. Think about this as almost like looking at betting odds in Vegas. And we're betting on football and the odds are here, but now a player just got hurt. Well, the odds just changed, didn't they? Well, player just got hurt. When you look at this and say, I don't fit one of the three levers of retail, your key player just got hurt. So what happened to your Vegas odds? It's not zero.
Right. It's not zero.
The odds got a lot worse for you, didn't they?
100%. And so does that mean that, again, to them, does that mean they need to go back and figure out how they can fit one of those levers? Is that the key? Is this is the signal to say retail is not, I'm not ready for retail because I clearly can't fit one of these three. So now I've got to figure out whether it's retooling my product, my pricing model, whatever the case may be, to fit one of those?
Yes. Here's the key, Justice. First off, there's nothing wrong with having a good Amazon business. And if you've created an item, you just created a new electrically powered fly swatter, and you're able to sell $3 million of them on Amazon and make some money doing it, God love you. That's a nice side hustle, and go do that. That doesn't mean your electric fly swatter is going to sell at Walmart. It just means that you've got a niche product. You have to keep in mind, Amazon can add as many new products as they want today because all they have to do is add another digital page.
Yeah.
Walmart can't because every item on that shelf is accounted for, which means if your item's going on, someone else is coming off. So if you don't fit one of those three levers of retail, you're probably not getting on unless you're Campbell Soup or you're Procter & Gamble. Or your L'Oreal. That's a different thing because those are category captains.
Sure. Agree with you. The one thing I will put on from there is, and I appreciate the fact that you said probably, right? Because we have run into scenarios where we have had some clients or prospective clients come talk to us and they've got this small store test in Walmart. We're looking at each other like, I have no idea how you pulled that off. I got no clue, but you're in a world of hurt right now.
Because a buyer saw the product and liked it themselves.
And that's what I was getting to, is that buyers are still humans. So
Yes.
those situations can still happen. And that kind of leads me to my next question, which
But
is,
that's like trying to bet on you're going to go viral.
well, and agreed. And I also think that most of the times in my 10, 11 years now doing this, where we've run into that situation, it actually doesn't benefit the brand. It hurts them. It hurts the
It does.
business because they're not ready for it.
Right.
They weren't even remotely ready for it. So all it does
And then
is
they
actually
fail and never get back on.
100%. And so that's what I was wondering, is my next question kind of leading into it was a little bit leaning into Rule 7, right? Mass retailers need mass products. But what do you think is the biggest mistake that a lot of these more niche brands, I'll call, make when they're trying to chase Walmart too early or mass retail too early?
The biggest mistake they make, probably the biggest mistake I see people make, and the reality is this is a book about all the mistakes people make. So
Correct.
it took 43,000 words to describe the mistakes people make.
Yes, it did.
The 27 rules has easily been the 27 mistakes.
Yes, it could have been.
So what I think is the one that I hear most often.
Yeah.
The one I hear most often is, if I can just get the product on the shelf, I know it'll sell like crazy without me doing anything else.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the most deadly one that I hear over and over again. I just need to get on the Walmart shelf and life will be amazing once I get on that shelf. And you hear it.
I hear it too.
You're in the same chair I'm in. You hear it all the time.
Hear it all the time. I hear it all the time.
And that's when we have to dish out some reality. So I tell people in the book how I shot the original pilot for Shark Tank. We created that model. And I'm going to tell people how that happened. The show American Idol was really hot at this time. And I was telling my wife one day that, geez, I feel like Simon Cowell some days. Because if you remember in the early days, Simon Cowell was just the mean guy that just destroyed everybody, right? Mm-hmm. And I was telling, I feel like Simon Cowell some days because people will call me with their inventions and I have to tell them the baby's ugly. And the light bulb went off. I'm an entrepreneur. The light bulb goes off. Holy crap, that's a TV show. And that's where we shot the pilot. And the pilot was 3. At the time, we had 3 people and 1 guest who was pitching their product. And they turned it into 4 people. When I originally did it, it was called Next Big Thing. They changed it to Shark Tank, and the rest is history. So this is the thing where I'm going with this is people come into us, I've got the next best thing. That's where the name came from. Mm-hmm. I've got the next best thing. All I need to do is get this on the shelf at Walmart. Now, what we have to explain to them is a Walmart superstore has 148,000 different SKUs. So think about this, 148,000 different items. Okay. And how long is the average Walmart shopping trip? I think it's 43 minutes.
Yeah, it's about that.
Okay. Let's call it an hour. Let's round up. How many labels can you read in 60 minutes?
Not 148,000.
Not even 48,000. Not even 8,000.
No.
Not even 800.
No.
Not even 100.
Mm-mm.
So let's say that you can read 25 labels. You're an avid package reader. You love looking at packages. You're going to spend at least 2 minutes on each one of them. So let's say you can read 25 packages. You could read 25 packages on that shopping trip, which is a ridiculously large number.
It is.
So now the mathematical chance of you reading my package becomes 125. Yes, which comes out to be 0.000 something. So in reality, getting on the Walmart shelf is 0 different than getting in Amazon. You are present. You are available. If you put your product on Amazon and you tell no one it's there, occasionally someone will find it and buy it. So you can put anything on Amazon and sell a couple of pieces a month. And I'll give you an example of that. This I find amazing. There's no such thing as a song on Apple Music that doesn't sell at least 1 copy a month.
Which is wild considering how much music is there.
Correct. But everybody sells at least one song a month. But 95% of all the sales were made within 600 song titles.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the other 5 million songs fought over the last couple of percent of music buyers. That's fine on Apple Music. can't work in retail,
Mm-mm.
can't afford to give you shelf space because you sell one piece every 3 months. So this is where people screw up, Justin, because if I can just get on the shelf, no,
Yeah.
you have two issues you have to overcome: mental availability and physical availability. And those two things need to happen in equilibrium, or at least in a co-laddering model. Mental availability is how many people did you tell about your product and how many of them desire it. Physical availability is how many ways can I physically get this client in front of that desiring person so that they can make a purchase. So once this product is on that Walmart shelf, what are you doing to get people to go to Walmart and buy it? And here's how I'm going to back this up. You get a meeting with Walmart, your average meeting is 20 minutes. And you go to Walmart and you stand in a long hallway and there's this whole room of just meeting room after meeting room after meeting room. And these meeting rooms are so cramped, you literally have to shoehorn 4 people into a room. And that meeting flips every 20 minutes. Ding, 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 ding. You're out of here. We're going to have another meeting. QVC has the same wall of meetings. I got to get in that room. I've got 20 minutes. What's going to happen? First 60 seconds. Hi, I'm Mark Young. I'm with Moto Lure, and I make the world's, only motorized fishing lure, and my celebrity is Chuck Woolery. Okay? Show me the product. Here's the product. Here's what it does. Look how the tail wags. Okay? I'm 90 seconds in? Rest of the 20 minutes is, that all looks great. So now, Mr. Young, Dr. Young, tell me how you're going to get people to come to my Walmart store and purchase this. That is the balance of the meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the rest of the meeting. And I will reserve, it is the rest of the meeting until the last 3 minutes. The last 3 minutes is, okay, I think I'll take this. What's your deal for me? What's our everyday low price? How many pieces in a case? How many interpacks in a master carton? How many master cartons on a pallet? Where do you ship from? So now we're just talking about logistics now.
Yep. It's just logistics.
So I've got 20 minutes, a minute to introduce myself, 2 minutes to talk about my product, 3 minutes at the end to work out logistics, 15 minutes of the meeting, 15 of 20 minutes is how I'm going to get people to go to Walmart and buy it. So people get this idea, and you see it all the time, Justin. I don't need to get people to go to Walmart. Walmart, good God, Walmart's got 20 million people a day going through their stores.
Yeah,
I just need access to those 20 million people.
That's it.
I'm going to tell you 2 things. 1, it won't work. 2, Walmart's going to say no, except that lightning in a bottle time, which is one of 2 things. Either you found an inexperienced buyer who fell in love with this fishing lure and loved it, or somebody gave him one as a gift last month and it became his favorite fishing lure. Had that happen, by the way. Or you have a buyer who you already have a relationship with who's throwing you a bone. So, and I've seen that happen. The category buyer at Walmart lives in the house behind me. We're next door neighbors and we've been talking over the fence for 10 years.
Yep.
And he's going to toss me a bone.
Yeah. We've got another client that's in a similar situation, right? They made friends and now they get an opportunity.
But guess what? After he tosses you the bone,
you got to make it work.
Need to make the product go away.
You got to make it sell. You have to.
Because I don't care if you are first cousin to Sam Walton, you're not going to stay on the shelf if you can't sell.
No. It's all about profitability per square inch. You've got to make me money. And you got to make me more money than somebody else who could be in that same space.
Retail is about being in the real estate business, and I'm leasing out space by the square inch.
So you better make me as much money as you possibly can, or more than the next guy.
Right, because I'm in the real estate business.
Yes, exactly. So if for any of our listeners right now, we know that the key is mastering all 27 rules, as we kind of talk about. If you master them all, then it's pretty much a can't fail guide. But
it is a can't fail guide. You do all 27. You honestly answer the questions at the end of every 27, and you answer them honestly. And those honest answers come up. Yes. I promise you're going to be a success unless you just shoot yourself in the face.
100%.
You're going to be successful.
I agree with you. And so talking to some of our listeners who may be early on in their process, So if they're early on kind of in their launching process, what would you say are the 3 rules that you got to focus on first? This is the starting point. Which 3 rules are those?
What would be the first 3 rules? I would really say, because the book is kind of ordered.
It is.
So
I just didn't
I
know
would
if you
say-
wanted to literally say 1, 2, and 3. That's fine if it is.
I would say rule 2. I mean, obviously you need to make products you believe in, but rule 2, make products that solve people's problems or needs. If you just created a product that serves no real purpose, it's probably not going to be a thing, or it serves a purpose of too small of a group of people. Probably the next one I would say is, are you a Me Too product? Are you just another item like is on the shelf? If I took your product and I put it on a planogram at a Target, at a Walgreens, at a Walmart, is there anything else on the shelf that will do exactly what your product does for the same price? If it is, you don't have, that's a non-starter. And here's the reason why I'll give you the explanation why that's a non-starter, folks.
Yeah.
It's simply this. We're in the business of selling real estate. There's something called SKU rationalization. The idea is, how do I get my assortment, which is my planogram? How do I get my assortment down to the fewest number of items with the greatest gross sales? So what they use, SKU rationalization, which is now done by AI, which is, let's say there are 40 items in my assortment. I now analyze what would happen if I was reduced to 39 and I took this one out. And what I'm looking for is, does the customer get up and leave my store and go to another store? Or does the customer simply look at my remaining 32 items or 39 items and find an alternative product at a similar price? If they say, well, they don't have any Contadina tomato paste, I'll buy the Hunt tomato paste. If they're willing to do that, I don't need them both.
Yeah.
If they're willing to say they don't carry Contadina tomato paste, I'm going to get up and go to Meijer where they have it. Now Walmart needs the Contadina tomato paste. That's SKU rationalization. So that's why you can't be a Me Too product. Plus, the Me Too product, chances are, already has brand loyalty and brand recognition you don't have.
So stealing that market share is a lift that you're just not going to be able to do.
And then the other rule, when you're saying 3 big rules, it's make products that fit one of the 3 levers or pathways to retail. How many times have you seen somebody walk in our door and say, we make this product and it's just as good as the current brand name, but we have 20% more in the bottle for the same price?
But it's cheaper. I don't mean to laugh, because I understand people think that it's a value for the customer, and they're not wrong. Problem is, it's not a value to the retailer.
So here's why that is mysterious. The reason that's mysterious is I get lured into a false sense of security, because I invented a product that has 20% more product or 20% less price, and it's identical. So I put it on Amazon and people buy it.
Yeah.
Because I buy keywords for the brand, then people look and say, oh, wow, brand X is 20% cheaper than brand Y, and they look to be identical. And a certain portion of people don't care about the brand loyalty, and I'm going to buy the cheaper price. So I get lured in thinking, this is awesome.
It's a false signal.
I'm just going to steal all the business away from Campbell's Soup because I make tomato soup in a 20% bigger can than Campbell.
Except for the retailers already doing that. It's called private label.
And here's where the problem is. So now you're going to sit down with that Walmart executive and you're going to say, check this out, Mr. Buyer. I've got this product that's exactly like the one you have now, but there's 20% more in it. And your customer is going to get a 20% more product for the same price. Your customers are going to love this. And the buyer is going to say, so my average customer buys 6 of these a year. You're going to give them 20% more. So now my average customer will buy 4 per year. And you just cost me $40 annual to my planogram.
Yeah.
If I'm a $20 item, and you just arrange for people to buy 2 less a year, you just cost me $40 per customer per year. Mm-hmm. No, thank you. I don't want this.
I shouldn't be left.
But we see this every week.
We do. We see it every week. So it's not but you're right. Amazon gives you a false signal. They're well-intentioned because they're thinking about value to the customer. It's just a complete misunderstanding of the retail landscape and a complete misunderstanding of retail buyers and what retail buyers actually care about.
And by the way, if that buyer shows any interest in that product It's going to be, I'll consider it as a private label.
Private.
Yep. I'll buy it. I'll put the Walmart name on it. I'll give people 20% more, but I'm going to buy it from you for pennies.
Yes. Pennies on the dollar.
Because I'm going to negotiate you down to about a 5-cent per product profit.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't do it, I have 50 other contract manufacturers that'll go do it for me. Thanks for showing me this.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm going to give you a great example of this years back. I don't know if you're old enough to remember this, but there was a popular paperweight that hit the market. It was a black base with a giant gold paper clip, and the giant gold paper clip screwed into the base, and it was this thing where you could slide pictures and notes and stuff into the giant paper clip.
Yes, I remember things like that.
Okay, hot product, no patent. Hit the market, sold a bunch of paper clips, and then Walmart went to China and had manufacturers make them a giant paper clip,
right,
screwed into a base, and put it on the market for 25% less. But meanwhile, Walmart was making 25% more because Walmart now had all the margin and killed the company. Literally put them out of business.
And that is what will happen. Wow. So I got a couple questions left for you, Mark. So you've been such you've been so gracious with your time.
You're so kind. Such a kind interviewer.
I just don't want to. I want to make sure you get back to changing the world. A couple questions left. So the first one, I want to go back to, you talked a little bit about it earlier, which is Rule 6, which is about describing your product in one sentence, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you talked to earlier, and you didn't necessarily talk about the rule exactly, but when you were discussing retail buyer meetings, how you get basically 30 seconds, which is one sentence to describe your product, which is why it's so important. But I'm going to flip this on you. Describe this book in one sentence.
It is the success manual for getting your product into mass retail and being profitable and surviving. By the way, I learned that lesson from two people, my dear friend Chuck Woolery and another friend of mine by the name of Michael Trachillis. And Michael was a Hollywood movie and TV producer. Chuck and Michael and I were pitching Next Big Thing. And when I went to both of them, I said, I got this idea for a show. And the first thing Chuck said to me is, get it down to one sentence, because I had a paragraph to describe it. And Chuck's like, nope, one sentence. I'm like, why one sentence? He goes, because that's the attention span of a Hollywood network executive. And if they can't understand it in one sentence, the audience won't understand it either. So I remember when we wrote it, a group of experienced entrepreneurs act as a review team, AKA American Idol, as would-be entrepreneurs and inventors present their product looking for financing.
Yeah, that's the show. I get it.
That was the show. You do. You get it, right?
I get it. I immediately get it. And that's what you need to be able to do. So why did you write the book?
So obviously, you know the answer to this. I have probably somewhere between 5 and 10 conversations weekly with entrepreneurs. And folks, these aren't our regular clients. These are new people. These are people I've never met before. And I have this crazy thing in the back of my head that I want to bring value to everybody I meet. And I want to try to help everybody I meet. So I do every meeting that I can possibly get in. And sometimes, as you know, Justin, I'll spend 8 hours a day going from Zoom to Zoom to Zoom to Zoom to Zoom, which I'm going to tell you, folks, if you've ever spent 8 or 10 hours in Zoom meetings, it's exhausting. During these meetings, you and I we realized we're having the same conversation over and over and over. It's like Groundhog's Day. It was literally, well, it's Wednesday. Let's go talk about why this product won't work. So you and I kind of went and we decided somebody had to have written a manual on this. You, I, and I think a couple of other people in our office, we all went out and we tried to find out who wrote a book that does this. And there was a couple of books that nibbled around the edges, but nobody broke down how this works. And what we realized was, in many ways, this is a book of physics. And the reason I say it's a book of physics, because physics are laws. They're not suggestions. They are the laws of physics. Brick and mortar retail is a set of laws. No retailer needs you so desperately that they're going to bend the rules for you. You are going to live inside their universe, and you are going to play this game by their rule. Even if you're Procter & Gamble, you're going to play by Walmart and Target's and Costco's rules. Because guess what? Walmart can afford to drop Tide if they have to because they've got all clear.
They'll be fine.
Do they want to get rid of Tide? No. But are they going to be held hostage to it? No. We're fine. We're Walmart. We'll get by. So you need to play the game by their rules. So what we went looking for, as you remember, we went looking for, where's the rule book? And we all came to the same conclusion. It doesn't exist. So that's when we decided, let's write the book. And you and I collaborated on the order, and you actually came up with the idea of breaking it into 3 sections. And here's the thing. Every podcast interview I do, you did the same thing as every podcast I've done so far. What's the most important rules? I struggle with that because to me, all 27 are almost equally important.
Yeah.
Because anything that wasn't important, we didn't put in.
Mm-hmm.
Because the 27 rules all of them were based upon, this is a make it or break it thing.
Yeah. You must do them all.
So they are all make it or break it, but they are in order. So you do need to clear the first 5 or 6 of them. And if you can't honestly clear the first 5 or 6, don't worry about the last 21.
And the reason, continuing on with that, since I was a part of this process, so I get the fun of being interviewer, but also engaged, is when we were thinking about this book, yes, we wanted to provide everybody with the rules as they are so that they have the education to understand, especially understanding retail, because we found there's just such a gap in the space of that knowledge. But we wanted to provide them with the ability to assess their own business as well, right? Because we could have easily just written rules and said, here's a lot of information. But you also made sure that we included questions at the end of each chapter so that everyone could do exercises to say, great, here's my gut check, right? Like, do I qualify with this rule? Did I do these things? Can I do these things? So that you can go through and then give yourself an own evaluation of your business in the current state. So you could say, okay, God, this is where I have to focus if this is my goal, right? So it wasn't just about sharing information. It was really trying to give entrepreneurs the tools and arm them with the ability to actually scale in retail.
And it gave us an opportunity to send the book out early on in our relationship with a new person. And once they read the book, it now gives us a common language that they didn't have.
Yes.
Because now we can go back in and say, well, did you read the book? And how well did you get through the first 6 questions? And tell me how you got through them. Because I'm going to be honest with you, folks. The failure rate in this business is 5% out of 100%. So 1 out of 20 products survive. Our failure rate is, 90 to 100% success. The reason for that is because if you can't clear this book, we're probably not going to take you on as a client because A, we know you're going to fail. B, we don't want the reputation of being the agency that launches failures. C, we survive on long-term relationships. Short-term relationships don't have value to us. So even if we take your money knowing that your product's a failure, but we'll take this guy's money, we'll build him a website, we'll do whatever the case, there's no money in it for us. The money in it for us is you're a 5-year brand or a 6-year brand, and then somebody buys you for $300 million. So it's a bit self-serving, but there's another reason too, and that is I always try to counsel people, Justin, I want you to go into if you're new to this, if you're an entrepreneur and you're stepping in, I want you to go in with both eyes open and I want you to go in knowledgeable. I want to share everything I can with you. I'm not going to keep all the secrets. I'm giving you all the secrets right here. This is 30 years worth of experience that you're getting for whatever this price is. I want you to know these things because 1, I want you to deal with my team intelligently. I want them to be able to say, Bob, we got a rule number 8 issue here. Let's work on it together. I give you an example, never have a less than 5-to-1 margin. Rule 10, Bob, we got a problem. You've got a 3.5-to-1 margin. We need to help you here. We need to work and see if we can increase this price or how can we help you lower your cost of manufacturing. It's a roadblock. We're not going past this one until we solve this.
Yeah.
Right. We're stuck here.
Yeah.
So we want to have that orderly conversation. We want to be able to have that methodical, algorithm with you. And I want everybody to go in with the idea that I am willing to take the consequences, good or bad, for what happens. So in other words, don't go to the casino with your rent money.
To be okay if it goes bad. Worst case scenario, will I still be okay?
So when I bet everything I had on MotoLure decades ago, went to my wife and said, what do you think about taking a mortgage on our considerably paid off house and taking all the money out of retirement. And she asked me 2 questions. She goes, "Do you believe in this?" No. Never make a product you don't believe in, right? Probably really tough for me to lie to my wife and lie to her and say I believe in it if I didn't. Her second question was, if it all fails, can you live with that outcome? And she's a very smart business person. And can you live with that outcome? And my comment was, well, we're going to be back into a bigger mortgage. I'm going to have to make bigger mortgage payments. We're going to have to put all that money back in retirement. But at the time, I was young enough to say, yeah, I can dig that back out. I don't want to dig back out, but I'm young enough that I can. Yes, I believe that's okay. And her answer was, do it. Let's go do that. Now, as they say in the movies, the rest is history. And after that product rolled out, I will tell you, at the rest of my life, for the past decades, I've never had to go mortgage a house or go take money out of 401k, because once you're the hot guy, the hot item, there is no problem finding money. Every bank and every investor wants to bet on the winner, but good luck to you finding somebody to bet on the unknown.
Well, and like you talk about, if you walk in and you're trying to find money and you can speak this language, even if you didn't win already, the confidence that you're going to be able to garner in that individual who you're trying to get money from, it's probably pretty strong.
That is a very bright observation on your part, Justin, because how many business plans do we see of would-be entrepreneurs that need our help and they've got a fundraising plan together?
Yeah.
And we look at the fundraising plan and it either has no marketing section or it has the most vacuous marketing section that the most neophyte investor is going to look in and say, well, there's no marketing here. This is not a plan. I'm not putting any money in.
Right.
So you are correct. If you were out trying to raise funds, building your pitch deck around these 27 rules would probably be the smartest thing you could do.
Everybody knows, any investor knows, as we've talked about, if they're investing in CPG, they already know it's a high risk because they know the industry is high risk. But they also know that the exponential growth, which is why they're investing, because I better be getting a much bigger return than I could do with anything else that's in front of me if I'm going to give you my money, is going to be within retail. They know that. They understand that. And so showing them a pathway and understanding of how retail works and how we're going to get into retail, that you are light years above probably most brands or products that they get to see, because not enough people have this information, hence why we had to write the book.
So I tell you, there are certain industries that offer more exponential opportunity than others. So let me give you an example. You're a lawyer. In most cases, being a lawyer is not an exponential opportunity. You sell time. And if you get really good, you can charge more for your time. And if you get really good, you can hire some other lawyers and sell their time. Okay, but it's not an exponential growth engine. Plumbing contractor, a barber, whatever the business is. Most companies, growth is linear. There are a few industries where growth can be exponential. High tech is an exponential category. You've invented something, especially you've invented a software because your cost of product now is zero and you've hit on the right product or a piece of tech. The real estate and construction business has from time to time some exponential opportunities. Obviously, brilliant investors with a lot of money, like Berkshire Hathaway, know how to invest and get exponential outcomes, but that's a rare skill.
Yes.
Which takes a lot of capital up front. The CPG industry is one of the few industries where an everyday person who may not even have any specific education or credentials in a category can come up with a great idea, find a contract manufacturer, figure out how to make a product better than anybody else, and 5-6 years from now, end up with a 9 and 10 digit bank account. There are very few opportunities outside of high tech where you can do that. And when you think about the tech world, it even has limitations because those are highly skilled individuals that are playing in that arena. I mean, these are tech geniuses that are coming up with this stuff. You and I have had a client that sold a tube of shaving cream. It was a good shaving cream.
Very good.
And how did they make it good? They were willing to spend more money on the manufacture of their shaving cream than anyone else in the world of shaving cream. And their shaving was super, what would be the word for it? Viscous or lubrious. It was crazy slippery.
Slick. Yeah.
And it made for a really great shaving experience. Okay. They had one SKU and one retailer were about to be kicked out. They came to us. We saved them from that. We helped them get more distribution. 5-6 years later, they sold out for, I forget what it was, $200 to $300 million.
Yeah, I think it was 300.
To Edgewell, which is Schick. Okay. Think about that. We started with an idea. We contracted with a laboratory to experiment. First, we experimented in our kitchen. Then we went from the kitchen to a paid for lab, which is not terribly expensive. And we had a lab work with us to make this. And we got it the way we wanted it. Then we found a contract manufacturer that could produce it at volume. Then we found some plastic tubes. We came up with a name. We put it in the plastic tubes. We got it on the market. And several years later, we have more money than we'll ever spend for the rest of our lives. Not very many industries can tout that. This is that industry.
Absolutely.
This is the industry when somebody has the right idea and they can survive all 27 rules, fortunes are created. Big fortunes. How much did Rayo spaghetti sauce just sell for? $2 billion?
Oh, I think it was $2 billion.
$2 billion.
It's wild.
For a jarred pasta sauce.
They make other stuff too.
They didn't when they sold it.
Come on.
I think the expansions happened under Campbell.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, because now they have Rayo soup and they have Rayo frozen foods, but I think you're going to find most of that expansion happened under Campbell's, which expanding in the soup is a natural leverage for Campbell.
Yeah, made sense.
But what they bought was a pasta sauce line.
Mm-hmm. Sure did. Yes.
They bought a line of spaghetti sauce for $2 billion.
It's crazy.
That's the kind of numbers that can happen here.
100%. All right, last question then. Now that you put all this time, effort, love, into this book, now that it's done, is there anything that you didn't include in the book that now you wish you did?
Funny you say that. Things, and I tell you, when I read the audiobook, there was a couple of things like, I should have expanded on that. And I will actually tell people in the audiobook, there's actually a couple of places where I expand on this. So there is a little ad-libbing in the audio version. Yeah, there was a couple of places like, I probably could have spent a little more time there. I could have spent some more time here. But I really don't think I left anything out. And I'll tell you why, because when I think about what someone needs to know next, it strikes me as it's another book.
Okay.
Because when I look at the 27 rules, there are some of those rules that could be a book.
For sure. There definitely are.
Right.
There definitely are.
So especially when we get into advertising and marketing and what type of advertising works best for retail and identifying your market, who's your avatar, who's buying your product, these can be entire books on their own.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't think I left anything out, because the goal here was to make something that somebody could read in 4 to 6 hours.
Oh yeah. And you absolutely did that. And it's extremely valuable.
Yeah. And I think the audiobook is 4.5 hours long.
Yeah. Yeah. So
there it is.
Extremely consumable. All right. Well, like you said, any last words you want to leave for our listeners about the book? I'll leave you the floor.
So I would like to ask our listeners to go out and get the book now. And here's the reason I'm asking you. If you're a regular listener to this podcast, hopefully we've been bringing you value. And I'm assuming if you're a regular listener, you're not doing it because you have time to burn. You're listening because you are finding value. As you know, we have no sponsors on this show. We don't have a paywall. We charge nothing to produce this show. This show is all produced on our own time with our own costs. If you would go purchase this book, this is an opportunity for you to, in a roundabout sense, pay us back for giving you a lot of free content. And here's why. One, it's going to be incredibly valuable for you. Two, what it'll do, it will help us move our book up onto the bestseller list. So I'm going to ask all of our listeners and friends, if you would go buy it now, order your copy, whether it's audio, whether it's digital, whether it's soft, paperback, hardcover, whatever it is. And then I'm going to ask you to really read it. And I'm going to ask you to go back to Amazon and leave a review, and leave your honest review. If you think the book is horrible, then give it a 1 star and tell me why it's horrible. If you think the book is helpful, then give me that 5-star review and tell people how it's going to help them. Because other people who need the book just like you are not your competitors. They're your companions. They're you.
Brothers in arms.
Yes. So if the book's helping you, tell other people the book's helping you and tell them why, so that other people can find this information too. Last thing, I want you to feel free to reach out to me directly or to Justin directly. And you can do that through jekyllhydelabs.com, cpginsiders.com. You have questions on the book. You have comments on the book. You want to tell me you think I'm the worst writer in the world? Contact us. It's all feedback. Whether it's good or bad, it is all feedback. It is all useful. We are a big believer that there are 3 teams that you can be on. There is the winning team, the losing team, and the learning team. We are never on the losing team because we're either on the winning team or we're on the learning team. And lessons come from where you made your mistakes. Your lessons don't come from the successes. The lessons come from the errors and the mistakes and the failures. So if you think we failed someplace, I want you to tell me that.
Yeah, agreed.
Or if you just think I'm the smartest person you've ever met, I'm fine with you telling me that too, because who doesn't like being told that they're brilliant? I mean, everybody's got an ego.
I struggle with that a little bit, people. I'm just going to let you know. Don't.
Well, that's it for me, Justin. Anything else?
No. Thank you all for listening again. Please fill out, get the book. Let us know how you feel. I know, as Mark said, contact us with anything else that you need. But as always, I am grateful for your time. And great day.